Have you ever wanted to grow your own food, but then you look outside and all you see is concrete? Well, today we're going to explore how you can turn even the tiniest urban space, I'm talking a small balcony, even a sidewalk crack, into a green, productive garden. So, let's dig in. This is just so relatable for anyone living in a city, right? It can feel like actual nature is a million miles away. But the truth is, it really doesn't have to be. Your own personal green revolution can start, well, right where you are. So that's the big question, isn't it? It might seem totally impossible. But you know what? It all comes down to some clever techniques and picking the right plants. We're going to break it all down for you, starting with the space you probably have right outside your window. Okay, let's start with what you've got. Your balcony, your patio, maybe even just a sunny windowsill. Think of this as your own personal lab for urban farming. And trust me, the most important lesson, it starts with the pot itself. Seriously, if there is one rule you remember from all of this, let it be this one. Your pots have to have drainage holes. It's that simple. Without them, it's exactly like that bathtub analogy. The water gets trapped and your plant's roots, well, they literally drown. It's such a simple mistake, but it dooms so many new gardens before they even get a chance. So what should your pots be made of? Well, for balconies, plastic or fiberglass are great choices because they're super lightweight. That's a huge plus. Fabric grow bags, another fantastic option. They're portable and you can just fold them up for easy storage. Oh, and here's a little pro tip. If you live somewhere cold, you might want to avoid terracotta. It can crack pretty easily during a freeze. Okay, so you've got the right pots, but you've only got a few square feet to work with. So how do you make the most of that tiny space? The answer is actually pretty simple. You've got to stop thinking horizontally and start thinking vertically. This one shift in thinking can literally triple your growing area. Just imagine your balcony broken down into 3 zones. First, you've got the floor. That's for your bigger plants in deep pots like tomatoes. Then there are the railings. That's prime real estate for hanging baskets and climbing plants like green beans. And finally, the walls, perfect for trellises with cucumbers or peas. All of a sudden, that tiny little balcony has become 3 separate gardens. Okay, so now you need to choose plants that give you the most bang for your buck, right? And these are the undisputed champions of small space gardening. I mean, think about it. Cut and come again lettuce. That means you can just keep harvesting fresh salad greens all season long from a single pot. Chili peppers can be ridiculously productive. And radishes, they give you that amazing, almost instant gratification, ready to eat in less than a month. It's all about making sure you get the biggest possible harvest from your small space. And get this, a single Thai hot pepper plant can pump out up to 200 peppers. 200? Just think about that for a second. That could be a whole year's worth of spice from just one little square foot of your balcony. It just goes to show you don't need a giant farm to get a huge harvest. You just need the right plant. Okay, before we move beyond the balcony, there's one last super critical step. You gotta map your sunlight, seriously. How much direct sun your space gets determines everything you can grow. Just take a day and check it out, in the morning, around noon, and in the afternoon. If you're getting 6 or more hours, great, you can grow sun lovers like tomatoes. But if it's less than that, no worries. You'll just want to stick with things like leafy greens. All right, so you've mastered your own personal space. Awesome. Now, let's see how this can grow into something even bigger. I'm talking about taking these skills out into the community and literally greening the neighborhood itself, sometimes in some very creative ways. So let me introduce you to your new secret weapon for urban greening, the seed bomb. This is the main tool for a movement called guerrilla gardening, which is all about reclaiming and beautifying those neglected public spaces you see everywhere. Each one is just a small, self-contained package of potential, It's designed to bring a little bit of life back to abandoned lots, sidewalk cracks, and those forgotten little patches of dirt around trees. And the best part? They're incredibly easy to make. You literally just mix your 3 ingredients together, pack them into little balls, and let them dry out. Then you can just toss them into some forgotten corner of your neighborhood, and the next time it rains, that clay will dissolve and give those seeds the perfect chance to sprout. Now, this is kind of a form of activism, so there are a few ground rules to keep in mind. The most important one, by far, is to always use native plants. Why? Because they're already adapted to your climate, and they provide absolutely crucial food and shelter for local wildlife. And, of course, you gotta be respectful. Focus on spots that are truly neglected and never ever block sidewalks or public access. And speaking of wildlife, wow, the impact of your plant choices is just massive. This is a really critical point. Certain native plants, called keystone species, are basically the bedrock of the local ecosystem. They are so important that they support up to 90% of all the local butterfly and moth populations. 90%. So that means your little balcony garden or that tree bed you just seed bombed, it can become a vital refueling station for the pollinators our entire food system depends on. That's a huge deal. Okay, to really become a concrete jungle farmer, you need to start thinking like an ecosystem. What does that mean? Well, it means reducing waste and using our resources wisely. So let's talk about turning your food scraps into what gardeners call black gold for your plants. And guess what? You don't need a yard to compost. Nope. For apartment dwellers, these are pretty much your two best options. The biggest difference is just what they can handle. A worm farm is amazing, don't get me wrong, but the worms are a bit picky. No meat, dairy, or citrus for them. The bokashi bucket, though, that thing can take everything. It actually ferments your food waste with special microbes, and believe it or not, it's completely odorless. And the bokashi process is so simple. You just layer your food scraps with this special bran, seal the airtight lid, and then you just let it sit for 2 weeks. That's it. It doesn't rot, it actually pickles it. The result is this pre-compost that you can then bury in soil. And as a little bonus, you get this super powerful liquid fertilizer that you can drain off every few days. How cool is that? And while we're on the subject of resources, here's a fantastic, super low-tech trick for watering. You know how we all waste water just waiting for the shower to get hot? Well, just keep a bottle in the bathroom to catch all that cold water. You can literally save gallons over time, and it makes watering your balcony garden that much easier. So simple, but so smart. So we've covered a lot of the how, but now I want to talk about the why. Because the truth is, the most important things you're going to harvest from your urban garden, well, you can't always measure them in pounds or inches. Yeah, this is the real harvest. It's that feeling of accomplishment you get from eating a tomato you grew with your own 2 hands. It's the peace of mind that comes from knowing exactly where your food came from with no questions asked. And when you take it out into the neighborhood, it becomes this amazing act of community building and even ecological activism.
This quote really just says it all, doesn't it? Gardening has this incredible, almost magical power to connect people. It just breaks down barriers. It brings neighbors together, all working on a shared goal, just making their community a little greener, a little healthier, and, a little more beautiful.
So you see, you really don't need a sprawling yard to make a huge difference. All it takes is a single pot, a handful of seeds, and maybe just a little bit of curiosity. The only question left is, what are you going to plant first?